Chatfuel School is now in session. Welcome to our weekly class where the Chatfuel team and the top experts in the industry will cover the most important topics you need to know as a chatbot builder and marketer. I'm Andrew, Chatfuel's head of video production.
And I'm Jelena, Chatfuel's key account manager.
Let's get this party started! What party, you ask? Well, your chatbot, of course. Your chatbot is like a party with your favorite customers in Facebook Messenger. But at the end of the day, what fun is a party really if nobody shows up? Just like a real party, you need to invite people to it. So for example, you would send a letter to your grandma to invite her to the party. You would maybe text your uncle to invite him. And if you really want to go all out, you could grill some chicken on the barbecue to invite all the dogs in the neighborhood to your party. And then you could accurately say that at your event, you have some real party animals. I know, my jokes are terrible. Anyway, the same is true with your chatbot, right? You want to make it a lively, happening party. And to do that, you need to use Chatfuel's brand new feature called entry points. This is like those invitations that we just mentioned in real life. So for example, on your website, you could use an entry point to attract and invite those users into your chatbot party, or you could do it on a Facebook page, or there are so many other entry points that we'll be talking about today. But before we get there, Jelena is going to tell us a little bit more about today's show.
Wow, Andrew, I love the party outfit and the spirit and everything you've got going on there, honestly. So guys, let's jump into it. First, let's go into a little more detail on entry points. Entry points is, the newest phase of Chatfuel 2.0. And as you've seen with the Flow Builder, we're going towards a more visual, easier, cleaner, faster way to build your bots and bring even more traffic into them. And we all know what more traffic converts into, eventually. And at the moment, in this first release, we will have 5 entry points in total, and that will be your Facebook page, ref link, persistent menu, and on your website, the send to messenger and customer chat. Of course, more entry points are coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Now, because this is a special episode, the structure will be a little different. First, Andrew will show us each of the entry points, and then we will feature one expert from the Chatfuel community who will speak on the best practices, their advice on how to take advantage of that specific entry point in the best possible way. But before we dive into the first entry point, we actually have a really important message from a special guest.
Yo! Jock here to tell you all about Chatfuel's amazing new feature called Entry Points. It helps you grow your audience by making your chatbot more popular. Kind of like in the same way I'm popular with the ladies. Yep, you can be like me, a chick magnet, but with new customers for your business by using Chatfuel's Entry Points. How does it work? Well, like going to the gym gives me muscles that make me strong and more popular than the competition, Chatfuel's Entry Points makes your chatbot stronger and more popular than the competition. So what are you waiting for? Increase your customer count like I increase my body count and get Chatfuel's amazing new feature called Entry Points today.
All right, so let's kick things off here by talking about the most basic entry point of all, which is the Facebook page. All this means is a user is landing on your Facebook page and then they're sending you a message. Now, this can actually take some other forms as well that are just technically worth mentioning, but more often than not, this entry point just means a user is coming to your page and clicking that big blue send message button. But again, some corner case examples are if somebody searches for your page on Messenger and they message you there, or if they come in through a direct m.me link, meaning there are no ref links attached to that. But again, that gets kind of technical. Don't worry about it. Basically, a user sends you a message when they're on your Facebook page. So let's take a look and show you what this looks like a little bit more in depth. So here we are on my Facebook page, this fictitious furniture brand that I've created, and you see the big blue send message button. So I'll click on that and you'll see what it looks like, this Facebook page entry point. So here, there are really 2 things worth noting. At the very bottom here, you see the Get Started button, and that's of course the classic way to initiate a chatbot conversation. Somebody clicks on that and it takes them to the welcome message that we have set up. Alternatively, or in addition, you have these 3 questions here, these frequently asked questions, which are called icebreakers. And this is a new feature that we support, which is awesome. Basically, if a user has a frequently asked question, they just want to get a very quick response, they click that and you can provide that immediate, instantaneous answer. So the next question is, well, how do you set all this up in Chatfuel? So let me switch tabs here and show you in Flow Builder. So here I've already created a very basic, welcome message here for this furniture brand. And I'm trying to be a little bit clever and funny by calling the persona for this bot Fern Itcher, like that's its name. So yeah, I know I'm clearly a comedian. Don't worry, mom and dad, I'm not going to quit my day job. Anyway, so the question is, how do you set up this entry point now that you have this welcome message? All you do, super simple, you double click anywhere on the canvas and add the Facebook page entry point. I'll drag this over here, move this up, and then simply connect the Get Started Quick Reply to that block, right? And we're done. All we need to do now is just toggle this switch right here to set it live, and we're good to go. But of course, as promised, there is one other important thing to mention here. Optionally, if we want to, we can add those icebreakers. So there are 2 ways to do this. You can either add them manually, type out whatever question you anticipate the user might ask and then type out the response, or a magical thing we have set up here is fill with data from Facebook page. So if you click that, it will populate all of these frequently asked questions automatically and then give you a template for the response. So these are basic things like, how do I contact you? What are your business hours, phone number, email, things like that. And it's all done for you. Now, if you want to customize some of these data fields, if for whatever reason they are missing from your Facebook page, like your phone number or your website, you can do that in the Configure tab under Global Attributes, but that's more technical. Not going to cover that right now. Just know that you can edit them if you so choose. So that's really all there is. Again, we've set up the Get Started button to that welcome message. We've added the optional icebreakers. And then again, all there is left to do is just toggle this switch to set this live on our Facebook page so that entry point is active. So I'll do that right now. It's going to give me a warning message, which is fine. It's just going to say basically, hey, you have only one Facebook page entry point that you can use in your entire bot. So if you enable this entry point, if you're using, the Facebook page entry point elsewhere in your bot, that is going to, be paused and this current entry point is going to override it. And again, that makes sense. Users are only getting one Facebook page welcome message, if you will, one entry point per bot. So you can just click continue here and you're all set. Now users will be able to quickly ask and get answers to those questions and go through the rest of your bot flow. So that is the Facebook page entry point. Try it today.
I really love the icebreakers feature. It's so neat. It's going to save you so much time. You're going to be answering questions so quickly. And we all know that today's audience really likes to get their doubts resolved as quickly as possible. Now let's go to the Get Started message. We have some tips from our friend Amanda from Master of Code. And here are the 4 elements she says you should always include in that welcome message for the Facebook page entry point.
And the first is to be transparent. Always introduce your chatbot or virtual assistant so users know they're speaking with an automated system, and the bot should let them know what they can help them with. Also, use personalization. When you build a bot on Chatfuel, you can actually import the public information of a user on Facebook. That way you can address them by name, giving them a much more personalized experience. Next, keep it short. Try to fit your welcome message in a single text block with each sentence being separated by a blank return space so there's visual clarity. And finally, leverage structured content. Once your bot has introduced itself, offer a gallery of menu items or quick replies so the user has an idea of what to do and where to go next.
Okay, so the next entry point that we're talking about today is the ref link. Now, the ref link is extremely simple, but equally powerful. It's definitely something that you don't want to be ignoring in your messenger strategy. So what is the ref link exactly? Well, it's a link, of course, a URL that you can share with anybody to promote your messenger chatbot. As an example, maybe you're texting somebody, you're emailing them, you can share that link with them to drive them into your chatbot. And if you're feeling really technical and a bit crazy, you can also even convert that URL, that ref link, into a QR code that users can scan on their phone and drive them into the chat experience, which is pretty cool. But again, more technical, not going to cover that right now. So there are really two ways of using ref links in your Messenger bot, and I'll show you those right now. So here we are in Flow Builder, and the first way of using a ref link is at the very beginning of your flow. So I can double click here to add a ref link, and we simply connect that ref link to the first block, and there we go, right? So I have this very generic flow here for the furniture brand as per the last video, and we're basically asking users, hey, what kind of furniture are you interested in? And then we're segmenting them accordingly. So in this case, again, I've just created a ref link for that generic flow, and we can share it with anybody once we toggle this switch here to set it live. Also worth mentioning, of course, you can customize the actual ref parameter you're using to kind of pretty it up, beautify it a little bit so it doesn't look ugly. Like right now it just says ref link. If I want to, I can, edit that, call it something a little bit more on brand or relevant like furniture. And then again, I can share that link, drive users into my chat experience. So that's how the ref link works. That's one way, again, to drive people just generically into the beginning of a flow. But another extremely powerful use case here is actually creating a shortcut, a deep link almost in your chatbot. So say, for example, for this furniture brand, I'm a salesperson, I'm chatting with a lead. If I know that they already like couches and I just want to send them more information via Messenger, what I can do is actually create a ref link for a specific part within this flow, a deeper part of the conversation, if I already have that context outside of Messenger. So for example, here we have a gallery with 3 cards for a couch, a chair, and a bed. Again, if I already know they like couches and that's what they want to buy, and this is the block that couch option links to, then I can just very simply, move this over, double click to add another ref link, choose ref link, and drag this over, connect it to this block. And now, just like we did before, I can zoom in, set this live, customize it a bit by calling this couch, and then sharing that link with the potential customer over text, driving them into Messenger. Now they're a subscriber. I can re-engage them in the future. And now I have them on multiple channels as well, which really enriches my marketing and sales strategy. So that in a nutshell is how the ref link works. Again, there's 2 ways to use it, either the generic way to link to a flow or to link deeper within that conversation if you have existing context. So that's the ref link. Make sure to try it in Flow Builder today.
So for example, if I were to build a holiday wishlist chatbot for myself, I would write lots of books at the end of the ref link, just saying if my husband is watching, Christmas is in like 3 months. That's like very fast.
Aha.
And my bookshelf is getting a little empty, so yeah. Now, here's a ref link tip from everyone's favorite bot mom, Mary Catherine Johnson from the Bot Academy. And she says you need to stay focused and always deliver what you promise.
If someone is coming into your messenger experience, your conversational marketing, your bot, from a ref link, they are there for something specific because you have given them an option to click a link that's talking about a specific thing. So number 1, deliver what you promise. Okay. If it's a lead magnet, if it's a training, if it's a video, whatever it is, deliver what you promised when they clicked that link.
All right, so the third entry point that we're covering today is the Send to Messenger plugin, and this is a great way to convert your website traffic, your website visitors into Chatbot subscribers. Obviously, the benefit of doing that is that once they opt in, you can re-engage them later and hopefully, ultimately, increase your sales. Now, you might be asking too, before we start, what does this look like? You can see what that looks like on the screen right now. This is just one example of the Send to Messenger plugin. There is a little bit of customization that you can do, but Facebook is pretty tight-fisted on how you can customize it, but stick around and I'll show you more on that in a second. Now, one last thing before we show you how you can technically implement this on your website is you might be asking, well, Andrew, earlier we talked about the ref link. How is this different? Basically, if you really wanted to, you could still embed a ref link on your website. You could hyperlink that URL to text or even hide it behind a button. But I would definitely recommend using the Send to Messenger plugin here instead. The reason is it's just a better user experience. Here with the Send to Messenger plugin, you're setting the expectations. People see that messenger icon. It says Send to Messenger. They see their profile for Facebook listed underneath that. So again, once it opens a new window or redirects them to the Messenger app, they're not going to be shocked. They're not going to, bounce. It's just setting a better user experience. So don't use ref links on the website. Bottom line, use the Send to Messenger plugin instead, or the customer chat plugin, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So let's dive into Chatfuel here and show you how to set all of this up. Basically, we're going along with the same restaurant theme here. One great example of using the Send to Messenger plugin is to promote a special offer, a deal, a lead magnet, something like that that really compels people to click through on that button. So here we're doing exactly that. We're going to say, hey, we'll give you 10% off your next dine-in order if you chat with us, if you engage with us on Messenger. So this is the resulting message that we're going to send people once they click through on the website. So to hook up that plugin, the Send to Messenger plugin, all we need to do is double click here on the canvas. I think you get the gist by now. And we'll add this Send to Messenger plugin. I'm going to connect this entry point to the flow, and we're good. Now, all we need to do is click here on the button to add some customization, tweak a couple things. So at the top here, you'll see the code, more on that in a second, on how we embed that. For the website domain, obviously just input the website where you want to embed this plugin. In my case, for demo purposes, I'm using a website called W3 Schools, but obviously use your actual website. For the button size, I'm going to really scale that up to extra large, which is also my favorite size of pizza. And then for the style, I'm gonna keep it on blue because blue's my favorite color. It's also the color of Cookie Monster, so you can't go wrong. Cookie. But if you want, you could also toggle between white. But again, I'll go back to blue out of respect for Cookie Monster.
Thank you.
And for the button text, you don't have as much customization as you might like here because you do have to use Facebook approved call to action text here, but there are a number of options so you can pick whatever is most relevant to what you're promoting, but I'll just stick to Send to Messenger. Now, all that we need to do is click copy code right here, go to our website and embed that code between the body tags of the website. So I'm going to zoom out here and replace the previous plugin that I had here with the new one that we just generated. I'll click run, and it's not going to show up yet because we need to toggle on that switch in Flow Builder. So I'll toggle this on, we'll click run again, and there we go, ta-da, right, it works. Everything is working as expected. Now, you might be asking, well, also, how is this different from the customer chat plugin that you kind of alluded to earlier? And with the customer chat plugin, that is really intended for more long-form interactive conversations. With the Send to Messenger plugin here, I would say that, again, it's a great example for using a lead magnet, because with a lead magnet, you just have people click and you really just deliver that single one-off message. With the customer chat plugin, which again, we'll learn more about soon, it's really more of a long-form interactive conversation. Now, one final note here on the Send to Messenger plugin, if you make any tweaks to the plugin right here in Chatfuel, you're in luck because this is a no-code solution. Any changes that you make are going to be pushed to your website without you having to update and edit the code. So for example, if I wanted to change the color back to white, even though, again, I don't like white as much as I like blue.
Thank you.
And then I go back to my HTML editor here and click run, you'll see that now it's magically changed to white. So this is super useful. And one other final pro tip here, keep in mind that you can also embed multiple Send to Messenger plugins on your website. So for that restaurant, maybe I have one deal that I want to promote through this plugin on one web page. Well, I could promote another completely different deal or another call to action on a different page. So use as many of these plugins as you like. Just remember, on the website, use the Send to Messenger plugin or customer chat instead of the ref link. It's best practice, better user experience. So that's how this plugin works. Be sure to try it today and convert more web traffic into those Chatbot subscribers.
Is it just me, or did Andrew just mention food twice in that super short video alone? Both pizza and cookies were there. I mean, guys, do we talk too much about food on Chatfuel School? Should we just rebrand this as a cooking show instead? I mean, my kitchen isn't big, but I could welcome you there. So yeah, let us know in the comments. And speaking of cooking, here's a recipe for success with the send to messenger entry point from Yash at talkative.ai. He says that another prime use case is sending back in stock notifications for e-commerce, which is one of our favorite topics here.
One of the great things about the Send to Messenger plugin is that it opens up a new channel for you to interact with your customers after they've visited and left your website. So for some of our e-commerce clients, it's a great way for them to offer back in stock notifications, so the customer can sign up for back in stock notifications, and then you can retarget them and upsell products. And when you combine it with the one-time notification plugin, you can do that in a very cost-effective manner. So it's a great way for brands to engage the customer not just once, but in following interactions as well. And I would highly recommend it.
Okay, so we just finished talking about the Send to Messenger plugin. That's one entry point that you can use on your website to grow your subscriber list. Now, another plugin that you can use to do that, another entry point for your website, is the Customer Chat plugin. And you're looking at it right now on your screen. Basically, this is a persistent chat widget in the bottom right-hand corner of your website that allows users to engage with your chatbot directly on the website. Now, this is in contrast to the Send to Messenger plugin, because with that plugin, people click it to opt in, and then they're sent a message in the background on Messenger. With the Customer Chat plugin, they can engage, again, directly on the website and have a long-form interactive conversation. So that's to differentiate the Send to Messenger plugin and the Customer Chat plugin just a little bit. So now that you know what it is and what it looks like, you might be asking, well, how does it actually work? What are kind of the use cases? So for me, I would say the two main use cases are for automating frequently asked questions, no matter what business or vertical you're in, and then also specifically for e-commerce, really product recommendation. What's also really cool about the Customer Chat plugin along those lines is that you can embed different Customer Chat plugins on different pages of your website. So for example, let's say you're an ice cream shop, which more on that in a second, and you have a product page. On each of those product pages for all your different flavors of ice cream, you could have one Customer Chat plugin that allows people to take a quiz to get a personalized product recommendation and then buy. And then maybe on another side of your website for, let's say, wholesalers who want to resell your ice cream, then you could have a completely different conversational flow there that's relevant to those users, relevant to their intention. So just some fun facts about the Customer Chat plugin. All that being said, though, let's dive into the actual tutorial and show you how to get it set up in 60 seconds or less. So I'm going to dive into Flow Builder here in the Chatfuel dashboard. And you can see right here, I've created this basic flow. This is the product quiz for personalized product recommendation that users will take. So to create the Customer Chat entry point, I'm going to, at the very beginning of the flow, double click, add the Customer Chat plugin, and then I can connect this to the flow. Now you'll notice here something a little bit different, very different than the Send to Messenger plugin, which is there is something called guest mode here. This is really exciting because it allows users who even are not signed into Facebook in their browser to engage with your chatbot. So for this first example, continue as Andrew, if the user is signed in that case, I'm going to send them right into this flow and get them going. Now, I could also do the same with the guest side if users are not logged in, but I'm not going to do that because for guests, if they're not signed into Facebook, they won't have this first name user attribute that I'm using throughout the bot. And that could be problematic, right? It'll just show up hi, or in this case, hurry, blank. It won't show their name. So if I want to make that a little bit more personalized and relevant based on if they're logged in or not, I'm going to instead connect this guest segment to another flow that I've created, a duplicate flow, and then we'll take out that attribute. So this is a little bit more technical, but if you do want to use this plugin properly, it is important that you're not using those personalized attributes, those user attributes for guest users. So I'm going to connect this instead to a redirect to flow block, and I'll type in or choose the name of that guest mode flow that I've created. So it's called Customer Chat Guest Mode here. And then I'm going to go into that flow, customer chat guest mode, and remove that user attribute. Because again, those guest users will not have any of that information available. So I'm just going to zoom in here and we'll just very simply delete that user attribute and we'll say hurry instead, right? So again, very small thing. If you really wanted to, you could still connect both of those segments, the logged in and the logged out, to that message, but it's not going to create the best user experience. So now that I've created these two different message flows here, although they're basically similar, I am going to go back and we'll customize the customer chat plugin settings a bit and then actually embed it on the website. So I'm going to click on the plugin here, the entry point. For the website domain, just like I did with the send to messenger plugin, I'm going to enter in w3schools.com. And again, this is just the testing environment that I'm using. You actually want to enter your domain. For show on pages, if I keep this default setting here, it's going to embed this globally across my website. So if you don't want to do that, you want to edit this accordingly. For example, if I only want to embed this on my product pages, since this is the product quiz, if you will, I could type in, product / and then the asterisk, although I'm not going to do that only because I'm testing this on W3 Schools. The web URL structure is a little bit different, so it's not going to work as expected. So I'll just leave it as the default here. But again, if you want to limit access to certain pages and certain URL structures, you would want to do this. And then I'll just keep the greeting message here, the default, which is hi, how can we help you? But I could change it to something like, hey, do you want to take our quiz? Provide some sort of incentive. For the custom colors, this is neat. If you want to customize the blue here in the customer chat plugin according to your brand colors, you can do that. You can get very specific with the, code of that color. I'll just change mine to black for sake of example. And then you have some additional settings down here, like if you want to display this on mobile or not, etc. So now that we have all of that set up, I'm going to click copy code. And then we will toggle this switch on to set it live, and then we'll just embed it on our website. So I'm going to zoom out, replace this previous script that I had as a placeholder, paste that in, click run, and voila, there we go. We can now interact with the chatbot. So you'll probably see some previous conversation here, but I could click continue as myself. I'm logged in, and it would send me that message, take me down that flow. So that is how to set up the customer chat plugin. Make sure to try it on your website today and grow your subscriber list.
Okay, with the food again. Andrew, ice cream. What's happening? Are you filming these before lunch? You're making me hungry now. Anyway, here's a golden nugget, not a chicken nugget, of advice from Joran of Chatamize.com. He says, embed different customer chat plugins on different pages of your website. That way you'll make the experience more relevant for your visitors.
Why are they on that page? Are they on your homepage because they want your latest ebook, because they opted in through an ad, or are they just there to look out what kind of company you are? And the same yields for the pricing page. Are they looking for additional information about pricing, or are they looking for maybe a free sample, or if you're a software-based company, maybe an online demo or a demo of your product? These are really important things you need to think about when building your first customer chat.
All right, so our fifth and final entry point of the day is the persistent menu. And honestly, to me, the persistent menu is a little bit of an outlier as an entry point because, as you know, with all the other entry points we've been discussing, you're bringing users from an outside source like a website into your chatbot. But with the persistent menu, it's a little bit different because users are only interacting with the persistent menu if they're already a chatbot user. So I guess you can think of it a little bit differently as the persistent menu being like an entry point within your bot to other flows. It helps you drive traffic for your existing chatbot users into other flows. So that being said, let's talk a little bit more about what this is, the uses of it, and then how you can actually implement it in your chatbot. So if you look at my screen right now, you'll actually see hiding in plain sight the persistent menu. It's those three horizontal lines down here in the messenger window. You see it right here. You can also think of it like a hamburger style icon. And if I click that, you'll see what it looks like. Basically, the persistent menu is a menu that's always accessible to users who are chatting with your bot. And the main use of it is really as a core navigational menu. So if at any point in the conversation the user wants to go back, restart, unsubscribe, anything like that, to me, that's the main use of the persistent menu. And as you see here, you can have up to 3 options in it. So you really need to narrow down what are the most important actions that a user can take in your chatbot and put them there. So now that you've seen the persistent menu and know what it does, let's dive into Chatfuel, into Flow Builder specifically, to show you how to set it up and all the bells and whistles along the way. So here we are, we're back at this ice cream flow that we created earlier. And if we want to add a persistent menu here, we will zoom out. And again, you know the drill at this point. We'll double click at the beginning of the canvas here on the empty space and add persistent menu. So I'll drag this over here as it's reorganizing, and then we can add our menu items. So I'll zoom in a little bit here. There we go, much better. And I'll add some menu items. So again, you have up to 3 options. The ones that I would definitely always recommend are restart bot and unsubscribe. Those are just super important actions that you want to make sure are accessible to the users. And then I would say you have one more for your own discretion, right? Some sort of action, some sort of goal that you want users to complete in your bot. So I'll start up here by saying restart bot and then unsubscribe. And then we can add another, like in this case, we're encouraging users to complete a product recommendation quiz. So we'll say something like take quiz, and we're good to go. And since this is the most important call to action for us as a business, let's drag that up to the top. Cool. And so then what I'll do is connect this take quiz option to the quiz flow that we have right here. Looks good. And then for these other ones, we're actually going to connect them to other flows in our chatbot. So for restart bot, let's just connect that, just for sake of conversation, to the Facebook page flow that we created earlier. And let me type that in, Facebook page. Great, so we'll connect the restart to that flow. Again, there's no real purpose behind it and the content won't make sense, but just for sake of argument, we're connecting it to another flow. In this case, our quote unquote welcome flow. And then for unsubscribe, I've created another flow for that. So I'll type in unsubscribe here. There we go, looks good. I'll organize this to make it look a little better. And cool, so we have our basic persistent menu set up. Now, all that we need to do to actually make it live is, of course, tap this toggle right here. And it's going to tell me a very important message, which is you can only have one persistent menu for the entire chatbot. So it's just letting us know, hey, you're enabling this persistent menu. It's going to affect everything else. If you have another persistent menu set up in another flow, this is going to override that. And to that I say, sounds good. So I'll click continue and we are all good to go. Now, 2 other final things to mention here with the persistent menu is first, the ability to add localization, right? So this is really important. If you have a multilingual chatbot or you're dealing with users in multiple languages, you can click to add a localization and, I'll choose any random language here. Let's say Danish. And we could localize that persistent menu, right? Add the text in that actual language so that users who are coming in and speak that language, at least according to their Facebook profile, they'll actually know how to interact with the bot. Now, one thing here, obviously, it's just going to localize that persistent menu. It won't actually localize and translate the entire chatbot. So obviously, you would only really want to do this if you have a chatbot that's been translated and that whole experience is translated. But at the very least, you can localize the language in your persistent menu. So one other thing that I will mention here, and I'll delete this in the meantime, is that you can also disable user input in the persistent menu. And what that does is it does not allow a user to type in any message throughout the messenger experience. Now, this sounds great in theory because there are certain points in the chatbot experience where you would want to disable this. For example, in this product recommendation quiz, if it's my sole goal to have people complete that flow, well, then I probably would want to disable user input, because then they're not going to send me messages. They're not going to get sidetracked. They'll only be able to stick to and reply with buttons and quick replies that we set up for them. However, if you disable user input, it does that for the entire bot, not just the flow. And that's unfortunate because, if you want the user to enter an email or enter a phone or enter any information whatsoever, then they won't be able to freely type that in. So just something to consider. But again, if you do want to disable user input for the entire chatbot, you just flip this switch right here and you're good to go. So again, that is how the persistent menu works. I'll zoom out here. Again, keep in mind that whatever persistent menu you set up and enable, it will affect the entire chatbot, and any other menus will be overridden. But at any rate, that's how to use the persistent menu and why it's so important. So add it to your bot today.
So Andrew mentioned that persistent menu feature where you can disable user input. And that basically means you can mute your chatbot users from saying, typing in whatever they want, which actually sounds like a pretty convenient feature for, like in real life when people are talking too much. But okay, maybe I shouldn't go there though. Our final tip today is about the persistent menu. And it comes from Zuza of Bot Like You. She says that the key with the persistent menu is to properly onboard users so they actually know it's there.
Always inform the users that there is a persistent menu and where they can find it and what they can find inside, because users don't really care about the Facebook app updates or Messenger app updates, and the placement of the menu has changed in time, so I think it's pretty important.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today with entry points, so let's sum it all up. Going back to the basics, entry points are this new visual way to easily grow your chatbot audience, so that way you can reach more prospects and customers. We have shown you the 5 entry points that are currently available, but there are more coming up very soon, as I mentioned, so stay tuned for that. Specifically, what's coming up very soon are Facebook ads and the comment auto reply for Facebook posts, which is a favorite to so many people. And if you want to get notified about these releases and also see a lot of our other useful content, I would suggest you join our huge Facebook community. The link is in the description. And one more thing that I would like to share with you guys and remind you about that. In the walkthrough videos, we've only shown how to connect one entry point to one flow. It is also possible to have multiple entry points lead into just one flow as well. So you can lead people from all the different places into this same flow. You can learn more about that and learn how to set it up in your bot if you go through the entry points help article, which we will link in the description as well. So in general, I suggest visiting the description box because there's a lot of useful stuff there. So remember, your messenger bot is a party, as you could have seen by Andrew's party hat. So use the entry points to invite people in, make it lively, make it fun for everyone, and they're going to have a good experience with your brand overall. You can try entry points right now by navigating to the Flows tab in Chatfuel. It's going to be at the top of your dashboard. Or you can also use the link in the description below to get there. So as I said, description box. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Chatfuel School.
Thanks for attending class today at Chatfuel School. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for even more actionable and educational content. And don't miss out on next week's class. Click the link in the YouTube description to get a reminder when we go live. We'll see you again next Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Happy botting!